what it is, you know, that's going on, the dances and the songs and what they mean. You know, there's a lot to it, and you know, when they had talked about that powwow, you know, that was something that was created back during the Pawnee Bills, you know, and Buffalo Bill Wild West shows. When white people came out from the east, you know, they wanted to see Indians. And then from there, you know, they had the traditional forms of dances that they would do for the shows. But they talked about how slow they were, you know, how some of them weren't fast enough, exciting. And then different things started changing, and then the fancy dance came along. You know, the fancy dance came a more fast style paced, you know, and then different dances started happening throughout here through Indian country, and then they started placing money on to, you know, who the best dancers were, and then it grew from that to what we have here today. You know, I heard an old man one time, he was talking about, he said the worst thing we did was pick up some of these white values and start putting it into our cultural things, where we place a value on who the best dancer is or who the best singers are, you know, them kind of things, you know, because it takes away from the ceremonial aspect, you know, the sacredness of what that is, you know. And some of you people here that travel around powwows and stuff, you hear them talk about, oh, this is a sacred dance, you know, but yet you're in an arena, you know, and you're dancing for money, you know, some of those kind of things. So we want to tell people today, you know, about what it is that we do here within our community, our Pawnee community, and what we have, you know. So that's what's going to be going on here today, and so we're going to get ready and get started. I believe we've given enough time here for people that wanted to show up. We wanted to start at noon. That's one thing that we always kind of stress at our dances, you know, and our ceremonies, is that we start on time, you know. And so Francis has asked Mother Duachittick Pratt, Leadingfox, to offer a prayer here today. So at that time, if you'll come up here, we'll go into our prayer. We'll get started. All right, we're going to ask all of the singers, dancers, those that's going to be dancing here today, to go ahead and come through first. All you servers, we're going to need you out there beforehand. Let us know, give us the high sign, and we'll get them all up here. You know, one of the things too that has always been told to me to mention that we kind of don't hardly do anymore is that, you know, a long time ago, they used to talk about when you come to your dances, you always bring your own dishes. You know, you bring your own plates and stuff, you know. And they used to talk about how that was kind of it was a cultural thing, you know. Everybody had their own plates, their own dishes. The men, you know, they used to sit up over here on these benches, and they'd have like their plates wrapped up in a big old, we used to call them tea towels. I don't know. I guess they're just towels now, I guess, but that's what it used to be. You know, you used to bring your own dishes, and I've seen some old pictures of like fancy bags and stuff from a long time ago. You know, that they used to carry their bowls and stuff in. You know, so they talk about now. You know, people kind of get lazy and depend on paper plates and stuff like that. You know, so just letting you guys know. You know, if you guys got your own plates. And my grandma used to have these big old, well, she started out to have these enamel, these old fancy enamel plates, and enamel cup and enamel bowl, you know. And me, when I was younger, I didn't like when all my food got mixed up, you know. So they gave me one of these big old plastic, like school trays. Yeah, like everybody's got now. So I got those, and I bring those. Got me a big old bowl, and big old cup, so a lot of food. World Championship Indian tacos here. What year was you winning? 2018 World Champion Taco winner. I believe the guys placed this year, right? Third place. Third place. You guys placed every year, right? Placed every year except for one. Pawnee going out there and taking over. So plenty of food. One of the things I want to relate to you guys today is that blue mush that was out there today. That's one of our traditional foods. Pawnees, us Pawnees, we call it ooh. Ooh, that's what that means, that blue corn mush. Any kind of mush, really, but that's what we use is that blue corn. And there's, and I already forgot, Aunt Deb. Anyway, there was a word that she wanted me to relay to you guys. Pahatsu. I do not know what that means. She told me earlier. It's a word I'm not familiar with. So, pahatsu. Something about where the corn is stored at. I believe that's what she said. But the corn that you guys are eating, that blue corn mush, that ooh, that's from Nebraska. That's the blue corn that they've been growing up there. So this is your ancestral corn. As you know, Aunt Deb's been doing a lot of efforts to try to bring back our traditional foods. And so thankful for all those efforts that she's done. You know. How many here have their own gardens? Anybody have their own gardens? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3 people here that have their own gardens. I had a garden this year, probably the best crop I ever had since I've been gardening. You know, my grandparents, they used to garden a long time ago, and this year had a real good turnout. So I grew speckled corn myself, so. My grandparents used to grow that, years ago, and so trying to keep that going. Said this is just a little just a little get together. What started out as something just a little small to help somebody out that wanted to dance. They been to dances but never danced, and they wanted to learn the proper way, So that's what's got all of this started, I was telling Francis, he'd asked me here a while back if I would sit here, and help talk, about things that's going on and things like that. And I was telling him that this was probably something that was long overdue, And what started out as small has gradually started to grow into something bigger, to what it is here today, we're thankful for everybody that had a part to make this possible. And so that's what we're going to try to do, is try to teach about what goes on here in our community, what's a part of our traditional culture. And, like amongst some of us here was talking about earlier, there's always negativity somewhere, there's always someone being negative, And so we're trying to stay clear of that. We know that there might be some other teachings out there that maybe might not go with what you hear here today or what you see here today, and that's fine, when that opportunity comes for you to say that or something at another time, then you're more than welcome, but we're trying to keep a positive frame of mind, a positive environment here, we want to try to encourage people here to participate, to dance in our dances and our ceremonies that we have. So that's one of the things we was trying to say, and what was kind of mentioned here too. Is like if someone sees something wrong or something in their eyes or whatever, then you can have a get together like this as well and teach how you want. But the thing is that we're just trying to help those that want to know, that want to try to learn. And so what we're going to do here today is talk about these dances that we have here, our traditional dances, some of our ceremony dances. You know, the Veterans Organization have dances all throughout the year. They have Veterans Day, Memorial Day, Christmas, and then also, you know, we have the skeety dance, we have the kick-a-hockey dance, and every once in a while, though, some maybe organization or something, you know, they might just put on a war dance where they get their own staff, you know. So, so we have these events that go on throughout the year that that whenever, you know, them times come about, you know, that you know, they want people to be involved in. So we're going to try to do our best to explain to you about what goes on and kind of proper protocol. You know, one of the things that we said earlier is that, you know, we as cultural people, you know, they try your best to always start on time. And, people always talk about ending time and everything like that, you know, and there's that factor there too. But you know, you always want to try to be on time, and because what happens is that when you start being late, then everybody else starts showing up late, and then you might have something that's going on, a special or a ceremony or a certain song going on, and the people are coming in making all kinds of noise and stuff, you know. So that's the reason why you try to start on time, so people know to be on time, you know. And so we've got a lot of little list of things here to try to explain, you know, as we're going on. You know, we have one of the things that people want to talk about too is that how people come and just eat and leave, you know. And that's good, you know, when people want to come and eat and partake, you know. But I remember some of my old folks saying that, you know, when you eat and leave, you're missing out on something. You're missing out on seeing, you know, who you are and what that pertains to, you know. You know, so, you know, my grandpa told me that, you know, when you start something, you go all the way to the end. So if you're going to come here and you eat and you stay all the way till it's all done with, and then you leave, you know. Things are a little bit different nowadays. People have work, maybe people have kids or something that are, you know, involved with other stuff or something like that, you know. So, but, you know, they always encourage, you know, for people to come and stay, watch, listen to what people have to say, you know, what they talk about, watch what people do, you know. You might see something that that encourages you or something. You might hear something that helps you along in your life and inspires you, and also you might pick up something that your children or grandchildren might need to know, you know, that you're able to relate to them. Like I said, they asked Matthew Chittix here, Pat Leadingfox, to sing here today. So he's got his stingers coming up here getting his ice chest. Yeah. Just going to use the ice chest today and then drum the tables.
Always.
Pay attention, people. Flies, I have to say that. Pay attention. And sometimes when our dancers are getting ready, and our singers might already be set up and stuff, sometimes they have roundhouse, you know. And it's no, it's nothing like the dancers are missing out or whatever. It's just to kind of let them know that, hey, they're getting started, you know, and stuff. And so usually it's for anybody else around there. And we don't do that too often, but it's been done in the past, you know, just have some round dance, let everybody know that we're getting started. So here in a little bit, you know, we're going to go into that. So one of the things here that, you know, we want to talk about is that is that so we have these dances that go on throughout the year. So I was telling some of the dancers earlier that a long time ago, in this what we call this war dance, you know, there was a man, and I think his name was Crowfeet. I think that's what his name was, or it might have been Crowfoot, or something had to relate to crows. But he was the one that had a vision about this style of war dance that we do here today. And a long time ago, they used to wear bustles. Not what you see the straight dancers today. They used to wear bustles, and we have some of those bustles that are on display up at the Chicago Field Museum. And a part of that ceremony, you know, they used pipes. They had ceremonial songs, and it was made for our warriors. It used to be all men a long time ago, and our warriors used to maybe they'd come back from battle and they'd be injured, wounded, things like that, or maybe they'd be young men just fixing to go out on the battlefield. You know, it was a time for them for the men to reflect on what happened, to help heal them, but also at the same time it was to help keep them energized about what was going on, you know, and what was taking place. It was a warrior society, Haruska, you know, and a lot of our old songs tell about stories about these men that went out in battle, and those were the ones that were dancing there, and still to this day, people that go to service, that actually seen combat, that fought, when they'd come back, they would get a song, you know, and that song would talk a little bit about what they went through, or what they saw, or things like that, you know. So we still have that today, you know. So these songs that you hear a lot at these dances, that's what they're talking about, is your ancestors telling them old stories about what they done, what they fought, how they fought, and things like that, and that's what those songs were about. So also a part of that initiation is that, especially if he was a young person, maybe hadn't been out on the battlefield, they said they used to have a big pot of boiling meat, and you had to stick your hand down in there and grab that meat out and set it on a plate, and you couldn't show no kind of pain. You know, that was associated with this war dance ceremony. Now, as we got to here, you know, we don't do a lot of that stuff. I'm not real familiar with what the skee-dee ceremony has, their skee-dee dance, but with our kick-a-hockey ceremony, we still use our pipe. You know, we still have them ceremonial songs that go on in there, the corn ceremony and the cedar ceremony. And so we still try to retain some of those kind of things. But as time progressed, you know, we've got to what we got here, and the men no longer use them bustles no more, and women are allowed to dance. Also, you guys know too, you know, we have women veterans, you know, so they're allowed to come into the arena and dance. And the veterans put on the veterans dances, like I was saying earlier, you know, the Veterans Day, Memorial Day, Christmas Day dance, and then skee-dees have their war dance, and the kick-a-hockeys have a war dance too as well. Those two are ceremonial, you know, a little more traditional than what you see here throughout the year that the veterans put on. And so, like I was saying earlier, you know, this is no powwow. You know, this is our culture, our traditional ways is not powwow. You know, some of the things that you see here, these straight dancers, they do powwow, but there's a difference there. And I think later on, my Eddy AJ is going to speak on that. You know, so sometimes when you go out to powwows, you might see straight dancers and see them dancing all crazy and stuff. You know, but that's kind of like what is associated with that powwow world nowadays. But when you come here to like our dances here, you know, it's more of a toned down, you know, what they call smooth, you know, gentleman's dance, you know, how they dance around here in the arena, you know. So, you know, we have a few dancers here. We don't know if they're going to, like I said, we're going to teach about the war dance, you know, that we have here, the tail dance. So I don't know, we might have somebody just kind of be representative of a whip man and a tail dancer. I don't know how many dancers we have, you know, but like I said, this is not a traditional thing. So, you know, if you guys are showing up here late, you know, don't get bent out of shape because you don't see a lot of stuff going on that you normally do. It's here as a teaching. We're here to teach, to kind of help, you know, people that's interested, that want to learn, you know, to want to dance, you know. I'm sure you guys probably know somebody that and maybe one of you guys that are here, you know, you're interested in wanting to dance, you know, but maybe you're kind of scared or nervous, and maybe you don't know who to ask, you know, but you're here to watch and see, you know. So right now we've got our men dancers, you know, they're getting ready. And so our singers are here set up, and so we're going to go ahead and go into some round dance here, just to pass the time. Thank you, ladies, for dancing, coming out and dancing. Round dance, you know, we have, like I said, is not really a big part of our traditional dances that we have here, but occasionally you might see it, you know, just to kind of take up some time, you know, while our dancers and stuff are getting ready and different things like that, you know. A lot of pretty songs, you know, a lot of different vibes out here. And some have a lot of English words, I'm sure some of y'all know. Hurt songs. Somebody dancing for somebody, crying for somebody, mad at somebody. If you guys, if somebody just showed up, like I said earlier, we're just having a little teaching day here, teaching about what we're doing here, what goes along here in our community. Our men dancers are getting ready. They'll be out here shortly. I want to thank all the different ones that had a part in making this possible. Jennifer, David Littleson, you know, were kind of one of the main ones that wanted to try to do this. You know, not to call him out, but you know, David's the one who wanted to learn how to dance. You know, maybe you've seen, you know, things going on, you know, but actually wanted to learn the right way, and was being mentored by Uncle Marshall, his passing. So want to continue on with some of the teachings. So we're here today, you know, he's back there getting instructions from AJ, Leadingfox. AJ was originally signed up to be here today, and then his work thought that they was going to take him away from today, from being here. So Francis had asked Eddy, Eppler, to step into his place, which he agreed. And then all of a sudden it was a 360, or I guess a 180, I guess you could say. AJ was able to be here, and then Eddy got called out, so he had to go to Florida. So everything worked out how it was supposed to be. So AJ's here to instruct about how to get dressed and how some of these positions here that we have within our war dance. So I also want to thank other duochitics, Walter Eckerhawk. He helped add to this, along with Carol Chapman, Young family, Janet Matthews and Phyllis Oxy, and also the Pawnee Nation College that we set up over here. Marcy's over here set up, and they brought some bananas here earlier, you know. Traditional Comanche food. There you go. But brought some bananas today, you know, try to help out. And like I said, you know, we're all thankful. There's probably some other people that we maybe didn't mention, but you know who you are. You know, maybe somebody brought some money, or maybe help set some things up here, or help cook today. You know, we're thankful for the cooks. It's a good meal, and you know, maybe even just offer some good words and encouragement, you know, about what's going on here today. So thankful for all the help that we have here, and just wanted to make some acknowledgments while we're here. You know, like I said, you know, we want to encourage our people, not just our youth, but even adults, you know, that want to participate. You know, sometimes it could be maybe a scary thing to want to participate. Maybe you're scared you might mess up, you might not do something right, you might get balled out, you know, whatever. Long time ago, you know, probably some of the elders that are around here, it was, you know, a part of your everyday life that when there was a dance going on or you know, somewhere or something, you would just be there. You would just go, you know. Nowadays, it's not like that, you know. There might be dances that are going on, and nobody goes, you know. You know, maybe, and that creates sometimes problems, like with our youth.
So you have some younger Pawnee kids that come out here and participate and maybe dance. Then you have some other Pawnee kids that don't, you know. Maybe the other Pawnee kids that don't, they want to participate, but maybe their parents or grandparents don't go, but they want to learn, you know. So then sometimes that creates a kind of a group, I guess you could say, ones that know and ones that don't, you know. And maybe even some of those younger people don't know how to talk, or maybe some of the other ones tease one another or something, you know. So that's a whole part of this, is trying to encourage people, you know, is that, you know, some of you all may have children, grandchildren that want to learn, but maybe never come around, you know, and they're afraid to ask or talk or something. You know, I'm old enough that I was one of the ones that got bawled out if I didn't do something right, you know. So we was here at every function that was going on, you know. And so learned how to sit here and be quiet, you know, or you're gonna get whipped. You know? And I remember one time I didn't have to dance, and a lot of us. So there's people playing football out here. We was playing football, and then we'd go over here to these old like there's a merry-go-round and some other stuff over here in the parking lot. It used to be gravel parking lot. But it was me, Ashley Pratt, David Powell, and a few others. I don't know who the others were. We ended up going down here to this creek down here. And I think one of them boys went and tore off one of them old screen doors out here in this old, where the offices are at now. It's crazy because they were just run down buildings back then, but tore off one of the screen doors. We went down here in the creek and we was sailing for, was catching little catfish and all kinds of big old day, you know. And I'd come back up here gradually, and I remember my shoes got wet, and I thought, well, I don't want my grandparents to see. I'd come back up, check in with them, I'd go back down there. But gradually, as the day went on, it kept getting wetter, higher and higher, you know, till finally the dance was over with, and I didn't even come check in, and we were still down here fishing, you know, like you would see in, you know, the South American stuff, those Indians down there, you know. That's how we was down there, you know. No shirts on, we was down there catching all kinds of little buckets of fish. And Ashley said, I gotta go back, the dance is over with. And I thought, oh man, the dance is over with. And my grandparents pulled up, and then I thought, I better get out of here before, you know, they catch me or whatever. Anyway, my grandparents pulled up at the top, and I said, where's Adrian at? Oh, he's down there fishing. And I thought, oh man, he should have said that. And I got up, my pants were all, you know, I told him, I said, I'm not wet, but you know how when they get wet, they change color, you know, and dark. And so, oh, my pants was that, dang man. They stripped me down right up there with me. Then we had to go out here to my grandpa Delbert's, and I was sitting in the back, you know, under a blanket, and they were telling off on me and laughing at me. And so I never went down there again after that. So I shamed out, you know. So that's a part of our culture too, is that shaming out kind of stuff, you know. So you won't do it again. So sure enough, I was shamed out, you know. But you know, that's one of the things we'll try to do is encourage, you know, our not only our younger people but our older people that want to dance, you know. So, and a part of that is you guys, you know, that show up, you know, the people that know about how things go, know about the cultural ways and the traditional teachings. It's up to you guys to teach that, you know, to encourage these people to participate. And with that, you know, I want to make an acknowledgement of tribal leadership that we have here. You know, we have 2 council members that are here, Angela Thompson and Donna Hare. You know, they all can wave. And thankful that they took a little time out to come out here today. And we have 2 chiefs that I see. My Tiwachittics here, Pat, Skeety Chief. And I saw my buddy Matt here somewhere. Matt Reed, Shawnee Chief. He's here somewhere. I saw him and his boy. So they're here. So I want to thank you, 2 chiefs, for being here. And that's where it starts with too. You know, is tribal leadership. You know, to try to encourage people along. So thank you guys for being here today. You guys see my Aunt Deb walking around here. She's got some corn. You know, she's been doing a lot of efforts in trying to preserve our corn, you know, and bring our seeds back, you know, and our traditional foods. So like I said earlier, that that you guys ate earlier, that mush, that corn came from Nebraska. And where'd those walnuts come from? Whites? Pecans? Okay, Oklahoma, she said so. So she has some corn set out there, and then they brought a big crop in from Nebraska here the other day, and so they're in the process of getting it all set and dried out. They're braiding it, so they was going to have a demonstration earlier, so I don't know. Not set it up. She's got some back there, but you know that's a big part of our culture too. You know, this is the time of the year where they would be tending to the crops. You know, and that was a big thing. You know, so we'll talk more about that here later on. So our staff, you know, like I was saying earlier, you know, we have my Tiwachittick's here, Pat. He's here singing. He's been a veterans head singer here for several times, and he's been singing around here in our community for quite a while. And him and my other uncles, they've had their own drum group traveling around throughout the country as well, and very knowledgeable of a lot of our songs, and always thankful for their willingness to try to help. And earlier, like I was saying, we have AJ Leadingfox here that's going to kind of be leading all the men dancers, you know, and talking to them about how things go. AJ has been around here for a long time within this circle here. From a young boy, I've seen him growing up to what he is here today. Has a lot of good teachings about this Haduska, this war dance that we have. Not only that, he's a world champion dancer. He's traveled to the biggest powwows and has placed. And so a lot of people don't know that in our community we have a lot of well-respected, some great singers, great dancers within our Pawnee community amongst the powwow world. You know? And then so, you know, there's a difference between the powwow world and here this traditional world here. And so, AJ will be taking care of a lot of that, you know. And Francis had asked me if I'd come up here and kind of talk y'all's ear off, you know, and kind of explain to you a little bit of the stuff that I know. You know. I've been fortunate enough my own self. I've been a whip man for the Veterans Organization. I've been tail dancer for our kicker hockey ceremony, and I've been head singer for the Veterans Organization as well. You know, so got to grow up with a lot of older people, you know, that told me stories about this Haduska way here that we have, this war dance. And I was always curious, you know, as a young person, you know, why we did this, why we did that, you know, what they sing about, you know. And so an opportunity here to share a little bit of the knowledge and the stories that I know, you know. Like I was saying earlier, you know, some of the things that may be discussed here that may be said, you know, it might not be what you heard, you know, but you'll have your opportunity sometime to explain maybe to somebody that you want to talk to, you know, encouraging that, you know. But we're here to encourage, we're to keep everything positive, you know, and not have no negativity of any kind, you know. And, here to try to teach the best that we can. So. Show of hands, is there anybody here that hasn't danced that wants to dance? Anybody? One, okay. 1, 2, 3. How about singing? Anybody here want to know about singing? Anybody? All right. Got one here. All right. So that's good. That's good that you guys acknowledge that fact that you guys want to know, and everything. So that's what we're here today. One of the people that was going to be on there that was going to help teach too, I guess she didn't come either. Becky, huh? She went down to Florida too. Anybody know? So there's some teachings that go along too with women as well. You know, and I don't know. I don't know much. You know, I just learned a little bit from my grandmas. You know, I know one of the things my grandmas used to say is that any time a woman comes out to the arena for whatever reason, they need to have a shawl on. Even at our hand games, when we have hand games, you know, there was a time there it kind of got to where no one was wearing shawls, and I remember my grandma Diva got mad, and I never wear no shawls no more, you know. So that was a big part of it, you know. But I see that it's starting to come around, and that's how I was raised up, seeing that all the time. So it's always nice to see when women, you know, have their shawls on, and maybe my Aunt Michelle might have some teachings she could share, something that maybe some other folk around here can have something they can share with as well. So as I was saying earlier, you know, this started back a long time ago in Nebraska, you know, with a man that had a vision, you know, and it was a war dance, you know, this Haruska, and it was a ceremony that where they used to use buses. You know, we have some of them buses on display in the Chicago Field Museum, and probably some other museums as well. And it was a way for our warriors to heal themselves, and also for kind of initiation of new warriors, you know, so to speak. And I told you, you know, like everything that we kind of do today is still kind of similar to that. Where we have the seating arrangements of our dancers, where we have the food, but they used to cook. They used to cook in these big pots, you know, and they used to have to put their hands in that boiling water and pull that meat out and put it on a plate, and show no kind of pain, you know, and it showed, you know, how tough and brave they were, you know. And back then it used to just be all men, you know. And today we've progressed here to where we have women dance, and we no longer use those buses anymore. And I myself, I don't know the reason why we stopped, but maybe somebody else might know, Sheriff, maybe AJ might know, but other tribes do it as well. You know, it's this war dance, this Haruska ways amongst the Omahas, the Osages, the Ponkas, Otos. They all have different ways, a little bit, you know, differences that they do, you know. And some of the teachings that I got was that, you know, some of them tribes, you know, they took care of little different parts, you know, better than we did, you know. You know, as you guys know, that when we left Nebraska and came down here, we lost a lot of people. And some of those people, after they did the allotment, we all spread out here throughout our land here. So not everybody was able to be around with somebody to learn. You know, so some of those things, teachings, you know, that we had that we kind of lost. You know, we had camp criers. We used to have camp criers. You know, we used to dance several days too, you know, kind of like what the Osages do, you know. You know, we had all of them, you know. We had a lot of songs, you know. We still do have a lot of songs, but we have songs that we don't have anymore. We just kind of, I don't want to say lost them, but you know, we neglected them at some point in time. So what you're going to see here in a little bit, when these dancers come out, they're going to all come out here, and usually what the whip man does. So I'll explain this to you, and maybe AJ can explain it to you better than I can. So when you guys come to these war dances, you see certain dancers here in certain positions. Usually what's customary right back over here is what they have a whip man. This whip man represented on those war parties was usually the most seasoned veteran warrior that they had, a person that had been on numerous campaigns and knew what to expect. And that person was in charge of the rest of the warriors. Like, not necessarily the war party leader, but it could be. It could have been that person. Sometimes a war party leader might designate somebody, like maybe their right-hand man, to be that whip man. You know, I'm gonna put you. We're gonna go over here and attack this tribe over here, but I'm gonna put you in charge of the rest of our warriors. Or that person might designate himself. I'm gonna be in charge of you guys. So that's what that whip man signifies. And I'll tell you the reason why when they get that whip, where that whip part comes in there here a little bit later. And then they have tail dancers. They have two tail dancers. You usually see one on the south side and the north side. And those were ones that kind of, I guess you could say kind of like finishers, I guess, you know. I don't know really a good way of explaining it, but I'll explain it here in a little bit. So you imagine, if you can kind of visualize with me, when they go on this war party campaign, say there'd be an enemy tribe over there, right? So they would ultimately scout this out, you know, and decide how they were going to attack or whatever, you know. So they go out go to attack this enemy tribe, and so this whip man would be the one to make sure that everybody fights, right? To make sure that everybody doesn't back out or get scared or anything. So they used to have a whip. They used to have a whip with them, you know. And if somebody was slacking off, or somebody was being weak or being scared, that man would go up and whip them. You know, he'd whip them, make sure they'd get back into what they was doing. You know, a lot of times that was done for young boys, young men. You know, they were the ones that were usually the ones that were the most maybe scared or timid about that. So that's where that came about. So say they went out there and they attacked all this enemy tribe, you know, and they done what they did. So they left. Those tail dancers, they were the ones that went out there to make sure that they were finished off, that they had killed all those people, that they weren't faking, that they weren't acting like they were dead, or making sure that the enemy wasn't on another side of a ridge somewhere, so to speak. So these tail dancers would go out there and they'd look over the bodies and make sure that they were all dead. Now, if one of them was alive, or if they noticed that the enemy was hiding out somewhere, then that's when they would raise their cane. They'd make a war whoop, or they would have whistles, or they'd whistle and stuff, and they would signal the rest of the party to come back in and attack again. So when you guys go to dances and you see that, that's what that's signifying. That whip man is making sure all of these warriors, all of these straight dancers represented those warriors, right? The war party. So all that whip man, what he would do was make sure all of them get up and dance. And I was told when I was younger that there'd be some young people here, they'd be dressed and they didn't want to dance. And a long time ago, those old men, they'd take them whips and whip them, make them get out there. If you're dressed, you get out there and dance, you know. So that's the whole part where that signifies, right? So when the song's over with, everybody sits down and those tail dancers get up and then they dance. And so they dance that tail. So when they get through dancing that tail, then they go and sit down. That signifies that everything was done. They did their job, or everything went good, or things like that. But if those tail dancers get up and they holler, it's like leading the charge again. You know, we're going back after them again. And then that's when they call everybody out. The song picks up, and you used to hear those old men, they used to be really hooping and hollering around out there. That's what that signifies. That signifies all those warriors leading another charge again. So when you guys see that at these war dances, and you see that, that's what that represents, and that's what that means. So this whip man is the elder person, the elder veteran, the seasoned veteran, the seasoned warrior. And these tail dancers are usually the kind of the bravest ones, because they were the ones that were sent back. You know, they could be attacked, they could have been killed, you know, but those are usually the bravest ones, and they sent them back, you know. So those are some of the things that those teachings that go along that I'm sure probably not a lot of people know about, you know. And myself, I just assumed everybody knew, you know, growing up, you know, that what I was taught. I just assumed everybody knew that as well, you know. But a lot of times, like I was saying earlier, you know, a lot of people didn't have the opportunities to hear that or learn that, you know. So that's what we're here for today, you know. So I don't know if you guys have all heard that. Maybe you guys have all heard that before, or maybe not. But that's what those positions signify, you know. And then so a lot of times in our Veterans Day dances, you know, the women are mixed in and you know, they dance in there. But I think the skeeties, you know, it's just men dance, right? Yeah, so they still hold on to that men dance. Our kick-a-hockey ceremony, that first round of songs, we allow it to be just the men to remember those days when it was just the men's dance. But after that, the other sets, we allow the women to dance, but we allow the women to dance on the outside, to not get in the arena, you know, where all the other men dancers, so the women come out. And then so that, they told me was that was kind of the women are a big part of our culture, our society. And then so those women, a long time ago, when they would go out, these men would go out and fight, you know, the women stayed back and worried. You know, they worried for their husbands, their brothers, their fathers, their grandfathers, their uncles, you know, their friends, you know, about going on these war parties and stuff. And so they would sit back and pray, you know, and have their own songs that they would sing, or prayer songs and things like that. And then so when they would come back and return and they'd have these, that's where the women, they are happy, you know, and support them. We used to have, before our war dances, you know, we had the round dance. Before our war dances, we used to have scout dance. And that's something else we've neglected. We have a few songs, and I haven't seen it done in years. I think the last time I saw it done was when I think they had a birthday dance for Nora Pratt, and that might have been early '90s, I believe, or something. And that was the last time I think I seen the scout dance, you know. And so they used to do that before they'd have the dances and stuff too. Some of you guys might have seen them old pictures where they had it, I think, down there at the campgrounds. They had a scout dance, you know, long time ago, you know. So that might be something we need to really try to work on, you know, try to bring that back, you know. And, I know some tribes still have their scout dances and they still do it pretty good, you know, and that's a big woman thing right there, you know. And that was, I remember that was something. I don't know if anybody got to witness that, you know, back then when they had that dance, that scout dance here. It was done right here, and that was pretty awesome to see, you know. Got a lot of pretty songs, and I was telling you earlier, those songs, you know, talk about old stories, you know, about our war days, but I remember there was a song in there, and it talked about Kaiser from World War I, and that's what it talked about, you know. And so even that, you know, to talk about that they made songs for our veterans of World War I, you know, and they were still singing them then. So yeah, so that's kind of like, I wanted to share that with you about what goes on here. You know, the different when you guys come to these dances, these war dances or these ceremonies, when you guys see, that's what you're witnessing, and that's what these men are supposed to be relaying, you know. So you know, when I started dancing, when I was a straight dancer, you know, they told me, they said, you're one of them warriors. You know, you're representing those people from a long time ago, you know. And then so when these straight dancers, when they dance, you know, that's why they're real smooth. They're looking for tracks. You know, they're looking for tracks, you know. That's why you see them kind of look down and everything, and they move real smooth, because they don't want to be noticed, you know. And so somebody had a question earlier about, you know, well, I don't know what to carry, I don't know what to use, you know. So they told me you dress like them old warriors did, you know, a long time ago. So a lot of times they had different things, you know, that they had, you know, and nowadays everybody kind of, I guess you say, copies one another, and they say, well, I like how they dress, I like dress like that too, you know. But somebody had their own unique styles and stuff. And so a lot of you guys probably see those pictures of those old Pawnees and how they dressed, you know. So that's how they used to be a long time ago, you know. and gradually, like I said, as things progressed, that's what it is today. You know? So, you know, we had a lot of our men, you know, had otter caps, they had turbans, you know, they wore roaches, turkey beard roaches, you know, all of these different kind of things. That's what they had. You know. Had bells, you know, bells were kind of new, but a long time ago they used to use those deer toe rattles. And of course you see otter hides, eagle feathers, breastplates, bear claw necklaces are kind of popular. That signified something totally different too as well. You know, so all of these different things. So however you want to do, what you want to do. So. Do what you expect. I'm going to say something. I was talking about. I guess I should have said, do what you expect. I need you to say something. He's too busy watching the game with the sword. 52 to 14. 52 to 14. That's the game. So usually, like I was telling you guys about how everything is that Whitman, right? That Whitman is the one that they bring the dancers into the ring and see them where they want to, where they want to sit there. And so, kind of the same thing too, Mike, on battle, you know, that Whitman can say they might have a certain group of warriors they want in a certain area. You know, he knows how they work these people that fight for wisdom. Just pick your side. So those are the kind of things that seasoned warriors, veteran warriors. You know, they used to do, especially veterans organizations, a long time ago, we had a lot of veterans. A lot of veterans that dance. Nowadays, we don't have to be veterans. So we have to do see people that have been dancing for a long time. We have a lot of veterans still. They don't dance. So we have to use what we can to fill these roles and positions. Some of the questions I've been asked a lot. Somebody might ask something different here too. I don't know. But, I guess a lot of what I heard all the time growing up was that, you know, you go around, you travel around to these other tribes and you see them, they talk about paying their way into the arena. While my old folks told me we didn't have that. They don't do that. We don't pay our way into the arena. And the reason being is because of these veterans. You know, I asked my grandpa one time, you know, it was out here at homecoming actually, and somebody was paying their way to the arena and they had some kind of little ceremony they were doing or something. I said, did you guys do that for me? And he said, nope. And I said, how come? He goes, I went overseas. He said, I got shot twice. You know, so you, your brother, your sister, your grandkids, and those that aren't even here yet can dance. He said, we all did that. He said, we didn't have this coming into the arena first time stuff, you know. And he said, so you want to dance, you're just going out there and dance. So sometimes you see too, maybe at a powwow or something at our homecoming, or even here, you see dancers drop feathers, you know. Some tribes that have some big elaborate ceremony, you know, special songs or dances or whatever, you know, some big special, you know, for somebody that drops some feathers. But us Pawnees, you know, we don't have that. So usually they get it, they try to get a veteran to pick that feather up and they just give it to them, you know, tell them, you know, to secure it, you know, tie it on better, you know, and everything. And, you know, make sure your stuff's all fixed good, you know, and that's it, you know. So that's all of that, you know, is tied into this here, you know, that those our ancestors paid that price for us to be able to dance here today. Those warriors just of recent times, you know, even that just went overseas, you know, maybe Operation Iraqi Freedom or in Afghanistan or whatever, you know, those were the ones that they did that so that we could be able to dance here today. So your kids, your grandkids, your great-grandkids, or kids, like I said, that aren't even here yet, will be able to dance. You know. So one of my uncles told me one time, he said if he was a singer here, and he had said that, was talking about, you know, when they want to have that ceremony about coming into the arena for the first time or whatever. He said if they really want to do all that, they need to have their own dance. He said if they want to have, you know, that be elaborate about that and take up time, you know, they need to have their own dance for their first time, you know, if they want to do that. But otherwise, we don't have that paint our way into the arena, you know, and stuff. So I'll share that with you guys too, you know. Maybe sometimes that holds people back from wanting to try to dance because they feel like they have to pay their way to the arena or whatever, you know. If you want to dance, you just dance. You know, I'm sure at some point in time you had somebody in your family that fought, you know, not only for this country but for our ancestors here too. You know, way back into the Plains Indian War days. So. Well, we have all our dancers. I believe it's seated. Do you have no designated tail dancers? Okay. Okay. I'm going to turn this over here to my daughter and explain all of us what we're going to do here today. Like I said, this is going to be kind of informal here, you know, nothing real, this ain't, so if you guys coming in late, you know, already ready to say aka or whatever, you know, you have to hold back on it because we're just here to try to teach, you know. And so these two gentlemen over here, is it their first time dancing, correct? So thank you guys for wanting to be here. David Littleson and Carlton Gover. They're going to be their first times dancing here, you know, so they're learning. And that's what the original thing was, is that they were starting was just going to have just a few of us, and I kind of grew up to this because other people wanted to learn too as well. So I hope you guys see something good here, get some good instructions. If you have questions, feel free to ask. thankful for your interest. It's never. I always tell people it's never too late. It's never too late to learn about anything. Language, culture, ceremony. Glad that you're here. So. Carlton here, he came all the way from Colorado to be here today, so I'm glad about that, So to me, that shows your willingness and your eagerness to want to learn about your ways. So guys are dressed up sharp too. Still got my Pawnee trading post out there. So since it's these guys here, it's their first time dancing, AJ was kind of taking the whipman position, and we asked my little D-Wad over here he's going to be the tail dancer. We're just going to have one here today, so people can see what that represents. So when you guys come to these war dances, you're going to see everybody dancing counterclockwise. And then when you come to the ceremonies, you're going to see dancing clockwise. You guys dance counterclockwise? The skeety dance? Counterclockwise? Okay, skeeties, they dance counterclockwise, but in our kick hockey dance, we dance clockwise. And in our young dog dance, which is a lot different from this, we dance clockwise as well. So there's nothing wrong with either one. There's a picture of a man over there, Philip Jim. He told my grandpa one time, he said, anytime you honor somebody, anytime you're having a ceremony or something, you dance clockwise. He told my grandpa, he didn't know why we danced counterclockwise, but there's a story to that too, as well. So I don't know it, I'm not familiar with it that well, but I know there's a story behind that. I believe it has something to do with the stars and how they rotate around the earth, I believe so. You know that story, too? Why we dance counterclockwise? About the stars, yeah, so. Might be a skeety thing, I don't know. But yeah, there's we just didn't do things just to be doing it, so there's a reason behind things. But yeah, so whenever I know in myself, I follow along with that. Whenever have a special or something, we dance clockwise, and then all of our ceremonies that I'm associated with, that's where we dance clockwise. But our veterans dances and powwow, we all dance counterclockwise. So AJ's getting to hear some final instructions here, and we're going to go on to some war dances. So we'll have a few songs here. We're going to have the tail, and like I said, we'll be one over here. He's going to be the tail dancer here. You want to do that? Yeah, we can do that. We got it on the list. So, instead of going into the war dance, we got soldier dance. So we're going to go into the soldier dance here. That's a big part of our culture here that we have, and we don't have a flag that we use, but we're just going to go into that. It's a lot different from the round dance. You see the round dance, it's a slower pace, and you kind of see that a lot of powwows. But for us around here, the soldier dance, it's a fast-paced round dance. So the men dance faster. The women still do their round dance. I've seen a few women they'll get in there with the men and dance fast too. So we're going to go into a few soldier dance songs. So Diva Chittics, whenever you're ready. All right, thank you too for the soldier dance. My aunt came up here earlier, and my Aunt Michelle, and she was talking about how some of the teachings too we have is like at these dances, ceremonies, even like funeral feasts especially. We're supposed to watch our kids. Some of the things that I was told is that if the kids are really loud, screaming, crying around, just take them outside for a little bit, come back in, and we try to watch them, running around out here, especially on the tail, when they dance tails and stuff like that, you're supposed to give away, when we was talking about earlier about the tail dancers getting up and dancing, when they dance that tail, that's just for them. But if you want to give away, you dance that tail, If them tail dancers call all the other dancers out, then everybody can come out and dance and it's all right, But if it's just them two, and you dance the tail, you're supposed to give away, Either give to the drum. If you do it by accident, most generally they put money on the drum, or maybe give money to the organization or whatever, and stuff, things like that, we want to try to keep this area. This is, you always hear people talking about being kind of a sacred, holy place. We also want to encourage our kids, how kids are when they're young, they want to dance, especially if they're around it a lot, they want to emulate their relatives or whatever, they want to dance or they want to sing, you want to encourage that along. So, but at sometimes, at certain things, you want to try to watch them and make sure they don't get out there, things like that, especially really our ceremonies and stuff, things like that, but occasionally that happens, so that's what happened here, just a little while ago here. So she brought some money up, and she wanted me to relay that and the reason why. And then so got this money here, so put it on the drum for you here. And, so kind of another little teaching here that we have that want to try to relay to everybody. Try to watch your kids or grandkids, but sometimes that happens. Sometimes a little faster than you are, But we want to try to encourage the kids, try to tell them, what goes on. And to me, my thinking that I have about this stuff is that we always want to know where our kids are, right? And if they're around here, we know that they're in a good place, right? It's out there, sometimes we don't know what's all going on out there, who's out there. As far as we know, they might be tearing some screen doors off down in the creek, trying to sing for catfish or whatever, So, true story, we came in late. But yeah, so that's some of the things that we wanted to try to relay to you guys, It's nothing to be mean or anything, but so especially, if you have kids that are being disruptive, and especially while maybe someone's talking or a ceremony's going on or something, take them out, take them outside until they calm down and get quiet and bring them back in. So that's kind of what was relayed to me a long time ago, So that was concluded our little round of soldier dance, And same thing too, those soldier dance songs talk about a lot of war stories, and if you could understand the language and understand a little bit about the words about our songs, they could tell you about a time or a place where an event happened, and that's one of those things we talked about in these songs, Like I was telling you earlier about that scout dance song that they had, about talking about Kaiser. We got another song that was made about Saddam Hussein, and we got songs about our service people from World War II to our service people back from the Plains War days. We got songs about fighting Sioux, fighting Cheyennes, fighting Ponkas, Western tribes out there, you know, Navajos, you know, different things. You know, we have all these stories, you know. It tells you, it relays to you the time, you know, these things. And at some point in time here, I'm going to turn this over to my theater tutor to let him talk to you about the singing part. But before we get into this dancing part here, I'm going to turn this mic over to my daughter, AJ, and let him share some of his knowledge with you about this dance and what he knows. He, like I said, he come up with some good teachings. You know, has a good way about himself. You know, and knows. You know, so he could relay some information to you guys as well. You know, what you need to know. So, Eddy.
My name, can you guys hear me? I have a little problem talking with the mic sometimes, so I hear myself and it's hard. But first off, I want to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to sit over here and to explain the things that I know. And for you men folks and for you elders, overlook me. I'm nobody. I'm young, but I thank Francis for asking me to come and at least talk about the things that I know. I don't know everything. I grew up here. I grew up around this arena. I dance because I love it. I love to dance. I love the way it makes me feel. That's why I take part. Not only that, just to carry on, our teachings from the past. A lot of times I don't see, the younger generations carrying on any of this. I'm scared, sooner or later that, I don't want it to see it die off. So, that's another reason, I come out here and I try to learn. But, I want you guys to, overlook me. I don't know it all, but I want to share the things that I do know. When we come out here, when we have our ceremonies, that east side there, all the dancers, all of the men that are going to come out here and dance are going to enter that side of the arena. They're going to enter there and they're going to exit there. Powwow ways, we can just come set up our blankets wherever and we can just come and go as we please. Whenever we have our doings here, we can't just, once we're in this arena, we need to stay in here. We understand that there's times where people have to go and, use the restroom or check on things. But what all we can do, is try. So once we're in there, I was taught that once we're in here, we don't leave. We dance it through. When we make that sacrifice, and we dance for these ones that are sitting outside here. We dance for those ones that, aren't here anymore. Maybe it'll give them blessings, to the ones that are sitting out here. This dance is, it's a giving dance, and these tail dancers, we're only going to have one today, but we're just kind of trying to show, just a learning experience. But these tail dancers, it's not only today, it's not only that, they're a tail dancers, so anytime that we have doings out here, they're going to come here and tell. It's a life, something, we have to live up to. These tail dancers are supposed to help out those elders, those families in need, those orphans. We're supposed to help out, anything, if somebody needs help around our communities. That's what this society is about, is to take care of those people. These tail dancers, when they dance, it represents, you'll see everybody get up and dance these songs. The drum will sing these songs 4 times through. So everybody's invited to come out and dance those four push-ups, the 4 verses. Once those 4 push-ups, those verses are over, everybody sits down. Go to your immediate places. You don't have to walk around this drum You know, you just need to kind of figure out where you're sitting at and the fastest route to where you're sitting. And then you go and sit down. The singers will start that tail up. And these designated tail dancers will dance that song. You know, it was taught to me that represents the warriors going out, the selected warriors that would go out and look for those ones, those individuals that the enemy that they took off or were acting like they were killed on the battlefield. So these tail dancers would go out and look for them. Well, they would look for those trails. So that's what they represent. They're going out and they're looking for these trails. And once they see them, or if they find them, they give these war hoots. Once they give that war hoot, that song picks up, and everybody's welcome to come back out. If they don't, they just dance that song until it ends, and then they go sit back, and the singers will sing another song. You know, like my daddy said, you know, when you get those tails are for these tail dancers. If you want to give away, you know, you come up and dance those tails and you give away. I guess I'll go ahead and explain what I was talking to these dancers about out here. I was talking about where we seat people when that whip man sits individuals. If you can imagine looking down at a map, and when we came back to Oklahoma, where all these tribes are set out, that's how we try to sit people. You know, you got if you're sitting out, you know, you have your Pawnees are around, but you look and you have your Tonkawas here, or your Ponkas, your Otos, and over here on this section maybe your Calls, your Iowas. That's how we try to sit people. Any other guest, you know, we'll sit them on that far side there or over here. I think that's about it, unless you have anything to add to that.
Maybe add a little bit about this time of rest.
So we'll talk about some of the things that carry. You know, you have your acoustic. You know, a long time ago it was said that you know, when we went to battle, you know, we would go and touch our enemies with our stick. That was our form of battle, because it was more shameful for us to be able to get close to somebody and touch them than it was to kill them. Not until, you know, further on in modern days where, you know, we started, you know, fighting and you kill them. So that's what we carry these acoustics for. These are our weapons. You know, our roach. You know, I was taught that, you know, that roach represents that grass. When we would sneak up on things, you know, we would have that. You know, it just looked like, you know, that prairie grass. Our bandoleros represent, you know, whenever, you know, we started, modern days, we started carrying rifles. Those are just our bandoleros that we kept our ammo. The breastplate, I don't have my breastplate on. I don't think nobody's really carrying a breastplate. But those were used, you know, for protection. Bows and arrows and such. Two different styles of leggings. You have your leather or your buckskin leggings. They're called tab leggings. And then you have your wraparounds. A lot of old wraparounds you'll see, they have designs on both sides. A long time ago, individuals, they used to, you know, trade cloth was hard to come by, so they would have their designs on both sides, and they would have different areas, you know, they could change them. They would have two different sets.
Thank you, Eddy. Thank you for all those teachings that you had. You know, like I was saying about my daughter, he's young, like I said, but he's been around here for a long time. I've seen him when he was a little boy coming around here, travel all over the country, and has some good teachings also too from Uncle Ralph, Chittick's Ralph. Young age, he was put into our ceremonies, to take care of some of them certain positions and things like that. So thankful for the audience to come over here today, try to help out, what they wanted to do today. And so yeah, there's a lot of good teachings going on about the styles of dress. And like I said too, you see these bells, they have here, a long time ago, before they had bells, they used to use some deer toes. They had some deer toe riders, they had those. Sometimes they don't see it too often, but just to have beadwork down with their buckskin leggings or even their broadcloth leggings. That was like belt strips and things like that. They just put them on there, and so sometimes too, as Pawnees, they would go into battle. They would take sometimes the enemy's things, and they would wear them as well as trophies. It wasn't scalps, but maybe they would take some of their clothing or whatever, they would put them on their outfits, to show. Used to hear stories about when they would go to, when they would go fight another enemy. Sometimes one of the enemies would see their relatives' items that they used to wear hanging off the Pawnees. They're hanging off of them, wearing them. It would scare them sometimes, because they knew what would happen. So that was a part of it as well, to kind of put fear to enemies as well. So, all right, I'm going to go into some war dance here, and so you heard the stories about what goes on, and so do chicks, turn it over to you, and we'll start this dancing part here, this war dance part.
Yeah.
go around here. That was another part of our culture that we were talking about too, is our water boys. We don't have one here, but that was a big part of this dance. Nowadays, it seems like younger boys don't want to do that. For whatever reason, things don't want to do it. But on the war parties that they used to have, they used to be the young boys, maybe 13, 14, maybe even young as 10, 11, 12 years old. They was, I guess you could say they were curious from what I was told. They were curious about wanting to know about these wars, these battles that they would go to. So maybe they had proven how tough they were in other meetings, and stuff, that they, maybe these older men, wanted to see how serious they were. So they would take these water boys. This water boy position was a life and death position too, just along with these warriors. But the water boys were responsible for these warriors when they would go out. Maybe they'd go out in waves and they'd come back and they'd give water to those warriors. But not only that, they took care of the fresh horses. They would keep these horses watered. So if a warrior had brought some extra horses, they would jump off the horse and get on a fresh horse. And so that boy was responsible for taking the other horse and getting them calmed down, getting them water or whatnot. But also giving water to those warriors, and maybe even tending to those ones that got hurt. So these water boys had a big role. They were responsible for taking care of these warriors, and so they also got to see what these men were going through and what they had to endure. So that kind of put in their mindset, that if that's what they really wanted to do with them. So this these water boys had a very big role in this. So today, a lot of times nowadays, we don't hardly utilize them that much anymore, especially around powwows, I guess, So we get to bottled water, and sometimes people don't want to drink after nobody anymore, and stuff. But there's a big sense of that as well. There's a big part of that, when there's that bucket going around, that water, you're drinking as one with all your warriors, and stuff. And there's another little teaching too about that water that goes around. So some of my old folks told me that when that water goes around, that first little bit of water, you don't just put your ladle in there, your dipper in there and get you a drink. You take a little bit of that water first, just a little bit in that dipper, and you pour it on the ground first before you drink. There's a reason for that. So they say that when we die, when we pass away, we go back to Mother Earth. We have songs that talk about that. We go back to Mother Earth. So they say the spirits of all of our ancestors, our folks that used to dance here, are still here. So when you put that little water down on the ground first, that's giving them something to drink. I said, you let them have something first, because they paved the way for us to be here. So you let them have a little something to drink first. Then the next drink is what you take, So that's some of the teachings that I got, that we have around here, is that, these things that we have here, that we use, these teachings that we're giving you, that we're telling you about, these came from our ancestors a long time ago. Some of the stuff we just didn't make up. I guess they could be made up, but we're trying to tell you the things that we was taught, like they were taught from their ancestors, like their ancestors were taught from their ancestors. So this stuff has been passed down from generations, and like I said earlier, if we don't teach this stuff, if we don't say this stuff, and if you guys don't pay attention, then that's where it's going to be lost at or neglected, because you're not paying it, you're not willing to either teach or you're not willing to learn, And then the ones that's going to suffer are the little ones, because when they get older, they're going to want to learn about this stuff, and then you're just going to have to share with what you was taught or what you heard. So those are some of the teachings that I was told about, like that with that water, so that water bucket comes by and you just take a little bit and pour it on the ground, Same thing like out there with the drum too, you know. Comes around, you know, it's a little bit of water poured out. There used to be singers that used to be here too, you know, that shared them songs that the singers have today. You know. So, you know, we have that, and that's a big part. And so one of the things too that was brought up here to me to relay is about the women dancers, you know. A lot of our functions that we have, especially with our Veterans Day dances, you know, we don't have a head lady dancer. We don't have a head lady dancer. So our princess, either it's the Veterans Princess or for instance here today, you know, we have our Pawnee Nation Princess, you know, she's here. So, you know, you women have to kind of wait for her to start all your women folk off to dance. Now at our ceremonies are different because we don't allow the princesses, you know, they can dance, but we don't allow the crown and the banners and all that stuff because we didn't have that a long time ago. We didn't have the princesses like we have today, you know. So when it comes to our ceremonies, you know, they usually it's an elder woman or an elderly woman, whoever goes out and dances first, you know, then everyone else starts dancing, you know. So we kind of go along with that, you know. So. Do what you do. So I'm gonna bring this mic out there to you and let you speak on the singing part. You know, we had somebody here earlier that had said that they was interested about singing. You know, myself, you know, I got to, you know, go around the powwow world, got to hear a lot of songs and things like that. You know, but my grandpa was responsible for that young dog dance. And my grandpa used to hear he used to play a lot of tapes and stuff. I mean, he used to sing around the house all the time. And war dance songs, you know, things like that. So I knew a lot of songs. But I got my start in singing with young dog dance, you know. And then I had some younger friends that, you know, were singing in powwows, you know, they just throw a drum together and we just sing, you know. And kind of gradually grew from there, you know. But I always tried to sing in a lot of the hand games and different things like that, you know, and try to learn what I could around here about the drum too. So I'll give my do-what-chitters here an opportunity to speak a little bit about this drum and the songs.
Well, thanks for putting me on the spot.
Yeah.
I'll get you back.
Okay.
No, I want to start out first by, you know, welcoming everybody here. You know, like my nephew AJ said, you know, I kind of echo what he said. I don't know it all, and I don't claim to know it all either. You know, just but you know, like Adrian said, I've been out here for quite a number of years. You know, and I'm very thankful for those that got me started. You know, the Knife Chief brothers, Herb and Frank Axon as well, you know, had a hand in developing my singing. You know, I'm very thankful for that. You know, and then from what I can gather, you know, what was told to me, you know, my brother, I'm thankful my brothers, you know, they're always there for me. You know, and that really helps out a lot because, you know, there's been a few times, you know, and Adrian knows, maybe been like 2 or 3 of us singing. You know, kind of hard, but you know, that's the life we choose. You know, when someone calls upon me, you know, I've got to help them in any way I can. It's just how I was raised. My dad taught me. Somebody asks you for help, you know, you do what you can, do your best. You know, so I'm thankful, you know, that Francis thought of me, you know, like that to ask me to take part of this, to lead this singing. You know, this drum here, you know, I consider it as the heartbeat of this dance. You know, I've said it many a times, you know, without you guys here, sitting out here on these benches, you know, this dance couldn't happen. You know, on the other side of that, it couldn't happen as well with that drum and these singers out here, you know, that, you know, just gave up their, pretty much, you know, a lot of their lives to learn these songs. You know, these songs, they're, what I have found out, they're hard to learn, but to me, they're easy to remember. You know, also, I love to sing gourd dances. Those they're hard to remember, but they were easy for me to learn. But, you know, our Pawnee songs, you know, that's where my heart is. I love singing these songs. You know, I love the spirit that comes out of that drum, you know, when we're singing them. I don't know if you all can feel it, but I can feel it out here. You know, I don't know how it is, you know, with you guys sitting around. If you can feel that spirit too, you know, I'm glad for that. I'm thankful for that. But you know, that drum, it brings out a healing spirit. If you know, a feel good spirit. You know, and I don't know what it is. I guess it's them songs, you know, that they tell us that, you know, God's the one that gave them, these men here, some of these men, you know, they compose a lot of these songs that we sing still today. You know, a lot of them, you know, were composed while our folks were still up in Nebraska. You know, that's how old these songs are. And, you know, trying to hang on to them, you know, especially our ceremonial songs, those are the most prettiest songs ever. Those young dog dance songs, you know, those are pretty awesome. And that, you know, if you guys haven't come to the dance, I encourage you all to come here. You know, because, you know, like I've always said it before, you know, just because you don't participate, just you being out here, you know, you're making sure that our culture is continuing on. It's not dying. You know, you don't have to come out here and dance. You just sit here and look on. You know, that's good enough. You know, so hopefully, you know, if whoever said that they were interested in singing, you know, I encourage you all to come out and sit at the drum. You're more than welcome to sit out here and learn. That's how one of the ways you're going to learn. You know, so just come out here and sit down. You know, I'm glad to see my nephew Taylor out here carrying it on for our family here. You know, so, you know, hopefully I kind of explained a little bit where, you know, where I come from and how I feel about this drum and singing. You know, I'm glad I could be a part of this and you know, continue to carry on our culture.
All right, thank you, Deacon James. Yeah, that's right to have, like you were saying, you know, there's a spirit out there. You know, my grandpa told me that drum, there's life in that drum. You know, there's a spirit in there. It's a long time ago they used to use buffalo hides, you know, now we use cow hides. But even that cow hide, that cow had a spirit, you know, it had a life at one time. And it's in that drum, you know. So when you use that, you bring that life out again, you know. And amongst our Pawnees, we had some drums that were really sacred, you know, and we didn't use them other than just for a specific ceremony, and that's what they talked about. They was made out of the buffalo hides, and so they were so powerful. They said that's the only time they used them is for the ceremonies because of the spirit that came out of them, you know. So it's the same thing here, you know, the beat of that drum, the songs that go on. You know, some of them old people told me that, you know, that sometimes, and some of you guys out here in the audience here, you know, may have heard this or even had it happen to yourselves, that somebody might not be feeling good, you know, maybe have a heavy heart, you know, maybe sick or ill or something, and they come to a dance and they talk about how they feel better, you know. That's what that's talking about, is this right here, you know. Hearing them songs, you know, feeling that beat if they get out and dance, or even seeing people dancing, or even just the fellowship, just being around in here, you know, there's good feelings and good spirits, you know, about that it could help somebody, it could heal somebody, you know. So we're thankful for that we still have those teachings, you know, and the knowledge, you know, and you know, yeah, whoever it was that said that you know, they wanted to sing, you know, there's it's getting to be wintertime here, fall time's coming in, you know, we'll have a lot of hand games. We usually have hand games throughout the year, but it seems like we have them more so in the fall and winter times, you know, so that's a good place to get started, is at hand games, you know. Just be sure to come dressed nice, you know, no shorts or anything like that, you know, and try to, you know, dress, you know, appropriately, you know. So, we have a raffle here. Okay. So we have a raffle that we're going to have that's going to go around here. It's for a gift certificate to Clicks Steakhouse. $25. So you can share that with somebody, or you can just use it for yourself. We're going to have tickets. As soon as the tickets get here, they're going to be $5 for $1. We'll go around, and all the proceeds are going to go to the drum here for all the singers. So if you guys want to take a chance on this Quick Steakhouse, be well worth it. For $1, you can get you a big old steak. Or maybe multiple salads, I don't know. However you want to do. You know, my field chicks mentioned this young dog dance, you know, the ceremony that have a sock hippie. You know, we're going to have that here, coming up here real quick. It's going to be on a Sunday, October 27th, right here. So, you know, encourage you guys, you know, just like what he said, you know, if you don't have to participate, you know, you don't have to, you know, be worried about anything like that, but just come and look on, you know, because that's, like I said, that's the key, you know. You might see something, you might hear something that somewhere down the line, you know, somebody might forget, and you're going to be the one to say, hey, I remember they said this, or I remember, you know, they did this, you know. You might be the help that someone needs, you know. And, you know, like my grandpa used to say, it's not going to be around here forever, you know, so you better pay attention and learn, you know, while we're here. You know? So it's kind of getting to be that way now, you know. And a lot of our older folks that were real knowledgeable on a lot of these things, you know, they're all passing away, you know. And some that knew really a lot of stuff are all gone now, you know. So we're trying to do our best to take care of these things that we have left, you know. Over here in the hallway here, Deb has got corn, and you know, part of the things that she wanted to do here was to show how they braided corn, you know, for drying. You know, she wanted me to teach everybody, but I taught her a few years ago. I come up here when they first started bringing this corn, you know. My grandpa, you know, told me about how they used to braid corn, you know, dry them, and used to put them in. Used to, a long time ago, they'd have these wooden rafters outside that they'd hang this corn over to dry, you know, but put them in the sheds, you know, dry out and everything, have it for the winter time. And so I'd come up here and show them how to braid corn, you know, but they all know how to braid down, you know. So they have a whole bunch of corn that came from Nebraska, so it needs to be braided. So she brought some over here. If anybody's interested, wanting to learn how to braid, Deb's in there. She can show you how to braid and have these braids of corn set up here. And so probably later on, you'll probably see that corn hanging up in here to dry, you know. So if you guys notice, my Aunt Deb's hair, she's got long braids, so she's real expert at braiding, so she can show you how to braid that corn, you know. I told him, I said, it's just like how you braid your hair, you know, except you got corn in there now, you know. So if you guys got long hair, don't get your hair braided up in the corn. So. But anyway, that's going on out there in the hallway, so if you guys are interested and want to learn how to do that, you know, then she's there. You know, they need help. You know? So they also have it going on over there at the elderly building over there. They've got a lot of corn over there, so they're doing that, and it's gonna take a while until they get enough help. So, all right, I think we're gonna go into another little set of war dance. So turn it over to you, Teal Chicks. like I said, this is no dance or anything like that. This is just a little informal thing, and you see there here, I'm a few out over here, raised these cane up, and made everybody dance that tail. That's what I was talking about earlier. That's what represents those warriors going back out for another charge again, And that's when I was younger, I used to hear a lot of those old men, hooping and hollering around, and stuff, causing a big ruckus, kind of kicking up dirt and everything. That's what that represented, So you be afraid to war hoop out there and everything. And also too, what I don't ever hear no more is women lulu, when they dance tails like that, the women used to lulu, or any time, even there was a song or something that moved them, they used to lulu around, I don't know, maybe women don't know how to lulu anymore, I don't know, but that's another thing, don't be afraid of lulu, that was a part of it, they used to talk about when, I don't know it myself, but they used to talk about, there was a song that talked about that when them warriors would return, that's what it was talking about, the women were all luluing in the village, you could hear them, the high, like shrill lulus, they weren't even close, but you could hear them because they could see the warriors riding in over the hills, and stuff, and they were all luluing, glad that they were coming home, and stuff, so if maybe we have to have a lulu teaching class, Francis, you might have to teach them how to lulu. So, there you go. See? Now, who can do better than that? Let's hear it. So yeah. So that's another part, of the things that we did. We've got this raffle going around here for, like I said, for this Clicks gift card, $25. It's 5 for $1, and a lot of tickets in there, As you all know, Clicks is one of the best. I was out of state here a few days ago, and so I always tell people, when I go different places, travel around different towns and stuff, I always try to get me a steak because I want to see if I can find. Clicks is the bar for me. And then so I went to this fancy restaurant when I was out of town. Somebody bought me dinner and everything. $65 steak. It's a $65 steak, ribeye. Big old thick steak, had these fancy potatoes, mashed potatoes, had these big old rolls, and Clicks still the one. It was all fancy, came in, even had those, had a bone in there with the bone broth, and everything. I thought, man, this could be awesome. And had a little butter on there sitting on top, melted, and real fancy old display and everything. Clicks is the one. Still haven't found one better than Clicks yet. So I was getting ready to say, when he said his steak has the red ring around it, I was going to say, I don't know, but Bologna runs a pretty close race with Clicks steak. A little bit cheaper too. All right, we're taking an opportunity here. Does anybody have any questions? If they have some questions, raise your hand. We'll try to see if we can get the answers for you. Just something that has to do with maybe the style of dress, the dance, singing, maybe a protocol or something, I see we have some people that came in a little late too, and that's one of the things we was talking about, is just trying to discuss about, things that go on here within our culture here, around home here, our dances and our ceremonies. So, anybody?
Talk about that otter.
What's that?
Talk about why it's an otter.
The otter, just talking about that otter, so the story that I know might not be the story that you know or whatever, but so what I was told about these otter hides, like I was telling you earlier, sometimes you see them old pictures, you see these men wearing these otter caps, and maybe you see men with otters in their braids and everything, you know. And so from what I was told, I asked about that. I said about the otter hides, because what you see now, you don't hardly see anybody wearing otter caps anymore, but you see these otter hides. So, you know, they told me that a long time ago, we used to live on the rivers. You know, we used to live on the rivers, you know, the Platte, you know, the Loop, you know, Republican, you know, different places like that. You know, we lived on the river and around the creeks and stuff around there too. And those otters roamed all up around through there. You know, they were common. You know, even some parts of Oklahoma. You know, but they hunt them. You know, the waters are polluted. You know, they've got these dams. You know, up and the streams. You know, kind of blocked off nowadays. But they're still around there. But we had those animal lodges that are around these areas, these holy places, and those animals lived in there and stuff. And those otters were like a big part of that as well. But they were messengers. And they had teachings. So at times, sometimes those otters would teach us things, you know, about medicines, about plants, you know, about different secrets, you know, that helped us in our everyday life, you know. And so I was told that a long time ago, just certain men wore those otter hides. Those were ones that were like doctors. They used to, you know, have learn them ways from them otters, you know. And so a lot of those caps that they wore, you know, that signified, you know, a lot of those things, they got some teachings from there, some knowledge, you know. Even those men that wear those otter hides around their braids, you know, that's what that represented, that they knew a little bit about some things, you know. But also too, they also gave us help when we'd go to war, when we'd go to battle, you know, and stuff. They gave us like maybe medicines or little different ceremonies that they would do to help protect them and keep them safe, you know. We have some that had bags, like bow bags and stuff that was made out of otter hides, you know. And so they had a lot of those things they would take with them to battle, you know, and stuff. And so that's a whole part of our regalia that they wear, these outfits that they wear, and they dress. So when you see those old pictures of those men, and then you see those men with those otter caps, you know, they knew something, and had some of those things they take with them into battle, you know. And then so I just had something I was going to say, and I just forgot what it was, but it was about the otters. But that's what they had, you know. They got some of the teachings to stay out of the respect that they had for the animals. They would, in turn, you know, they would wear those, you know, and it would protect them, you know, take care of them, you know. So nowadays, you know, we wear them because that's kind of a part of the dress, you know. But some of my old folks used to say, just don't be putting stuff on, you know, just don't be doing stuff, you know, without knowing the meaning of what they are, you know. Because one day somebody might call you out and say, well, why you do that for, or why you wear that for? Be able to tell an answer, you know. So that's what I was told, you know. And there might be somebody else that has some other teachings along with that, you know. In today's time, you know, my old folks said that, you know, they never did like to hear that say lost. They never did like to hear that say lost, because at one time we didn't have those things. We learned that from whatever it was, like I said, from the otters, from the spirits, from the visions, from other animals, from dreams, you know. So as easily as we lost that stuff, we could easily get it back if we take the time to listen, you know, try to pray about things and stuff. So that knowledge is there, but the part of our problem is that we neglected, like I said earlier, neglected to ask about it, or we neglected to offer the knowledge that we have to teach to somebody, you know. So that's where we have to kind of change that mindset and everything. So when you see these dancers, you know, you have these otter hides, you know, and stuff. They had. I know another thing I was going to say was what I was trying to remember. So when you see those men with those bear claws, you see the bear claws, right? You know, they got those. There's power in that too. Very serious power, you know, with those bear claw necklaces. But they're wrapped with them otter hides. And then you see the otters, you know, like the tails sometimes on the side. How Pawnees wore them anyway. They have the tails on the side and then the head on one side. So it was like mixing those powers together to make it even stronger. So there's a story about how this one man got the first bear medicine, and that bear gave him a bear claw necklace, and then that's what he used, was that otter hide. This Pawnee man had he got killed by some Sioux, and you know, our word for Sioux is Pahitzikut, and it means cutthroat, but they used to mutilate bodies, because the Sioux believed that how you left this world was how you entered into the next world. So if you was, you know, headless or armless or legless, when you entered the next world, you couldn't even get on a horse, or you couldn't even see, you know. So that's why they did that to their enemies. So that the quick version of the story is that man was he got killed that way. But prior to that, he saw a bear cub out there roaming around in the plains by himself. So he had pity on that bear cub. He prayed for it because he didn't see no parents, and he thought of himself. He thought, I don't want to leave my kids like this cub, you know, by itself, trying to fend for itself, you know. He always wanted to be alive. Well, something happened to him. He got killed. And so his wife and kids, he had one child was left at home, you know, by himself. Well, that bear remembered him and heard that prayer. So when that bear got older, he told the other bears, I want to bring this man back to life. And they didn't want to, but they did. They brought that man back to life. They fixed him up. So he was scalped. He was scalped too. So the bears fixed up an otter cap for him. So that was another thing, the reason why he got that otter cap to cover up. Because you guys know we have those Kitsahoodits, right? And if they saw him as a Kitsahoodits, he wouldn't have been allowed back into the village. So he had that otter cap on. But he gave him that power. He said, I'm going to give you the strength of me. So he took that otter hide. He took an otter and he wrapped those claws around him and he gave it to him. He said, so now, he said, whenever you go anywhere, everyone's going to fear you, you know, and they're not going to want to fight you, you know, and stuff because of that bear claw necklace and everything. So that's another story, reason why you see those men dressed like that, you know. And it's kind of, so those teachings we have kind of went to the wayside now. So everybody kind of wears things, you know, because, you know, that's how our ancestors wore, or, you know, it looks pretty cool, you know. When you get out in the powwow world, everybody's decked out, you know, but I guarantee it, not any of them are tough, you know. I know a few that's probably couldn't hold their weight in the fight, but anyway, that's powwow world. But here, you know, so there's meaning to that, you know. So letting you guys know, share that about the otter hides, you know. So hopefully that covered your knowledge. Anything else? Any other questions? If you want to know something, you ask. This is what we're here for. One of the things too is that we was talking about trying to start on time, you know, and try to have noon, you know, everything like that. You know, we have some of the teachings we have is that we try to get everything done before sundown. You know, there's certain things that go about, that goes on, you know, and same thing like in the funeral feast. You know, that's something else that probably needs to be talked about sometimes. The funeral feast is that things have to be done, you know, before sundown. You know. People ask why, in the nighttime, you know, there's they have ceremonies that go on in the night, throughout the night, and they're religious holy ceremonies, you know. But in the nighttime is a different time. So at night, you know, is a time to be quiet, kind of be reverent, you know. Some of the things that tied through that is our enemies, you know. You always wanted to be able to hear at night in case anybody was trying to creep around, you know, or creep up, you know, and stuff like that. So we always had people, scouts that used to be out at nights. That was their role, you know. They would be up all night. They would be around the villages, you know, making sure nothing happened. But it's hard to do that when you're singing and dancing and stuff, you know, because everybody's focused on that, you know, and everything. So that's kind of one part of the reasons why, you know, you try to get things done in the daytime, but also there's a ceremonial aspect, you know. We believe at nighttime those spirits come out. Spirits come out, you know, and so you can't see them, you know, because they don't want to be seen or things like that, you know. So you have to be really cautious about what you do at night, you know. So how many of you have heard that, you know, don't be whistling at night? Quite a few? Okay. I thought there'd be more people than that. So you're not supposed to be whistling around at night. And there's a reason for that, you know. So we have ceremonies where they use whistles and stuff at night, you know, and everything, but and they sing at night, but it's in a ceremonial aspect. So they would have fires, you know, they would have burnt cedar, you know, different things like that, and that fire kept things bright, because those spirits didn't want to come around when things were bright, right? They want to be in the dark. And there's good and bad spirits alike, but it's the same thing, you know. So the bad spirits, you know, stay around. They don't want to get around in the light, but all the good spirits that come around, you know, and everything. But you have to be cautious of what you're doing. If you're just out in the dark messing around and you're you know, whistling around or blowing whistles, you're calling in all those spirits, you know. That's what they're talking about. So you're calling in all those spirits, you know. And if you ain't living right, you know, they're going to mess with you, those bad ones, you know, because they're trying to find a way to get in, you know. So that's part of the teaching. So a lot of this stuff, you know, that's why you try to get done with things. You know, you want to try to get things done so that at evening time, you know, everything can kind of calm down and be quiet. But if they had these ceremonies, you know, even like Native American church, so they have these meetings that go on all night, you know, and everything. But they're in a circle, you know, in a holy place, you know, and stuff, where there's fire in there, where there's brightness in there, and they have prayers and a cedar that's, you know, being burned, so they can keep those bad spirits at bay, you know. But if you're just out messing around, you know, singing around, you know, and they always talk about, you know, I used to hear about those 49s. I was asking, well, you know, the guys out there singing, hooping and hollering around, you know, and they said, well, when you're out there and stuff, you know, think about all the bad things that go on, you know, fighting and everything, and all that kind of stuff, you know. It's not always all fun, you know, and everything, so that kind of ties along in with that, you know. So we try to get things done in the evening time, you know, try to get things done before the sun goes down, so everybody get home and you know, get relaxed, and, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I don't know if that helps anything, you know, all, you know, but same thing too with kind of with that funeral feast too. So, you know, they try to get things done here, because when that sun goes down, they say that spirit walks on. Same thing, like I said, when the sun goes down, the spirits come out, so that spirit could walk on, and they could, you know, join the rest of their ancestors, you know, that went on. They come for them. It makes it easier, you know. So then they come and then they take them on. So that's why you have to hurry up and be done before the sun goes down, so they can, you know, be by themselves and go on. So that was there to be relayed. So is there any other questions? Anything? I think we're going to wind down here pretty soon. Yeah, we're going to have one more set here, and then we're going to wind down. You know, so if you guys got any questions or something, you know, need to let us know. So, you know, you know, maybe you might be uncomfortable asking here with all these people, you know. And if so, then talk to, you know, like my Thewich's Pat or my audio here, AJ, you know, or get with somebody that you know. And, you know, I always tell people, you know, I myself, I got to grow up with a lot of elders that was, you know, sometimes I didn't even have to ask questions. They just tell me things, you know, and I was thankful that I listened, you know. So, you know, they got to tell me a lot of different things, you know. So I always try to tell people, especially older people, you know, if you know something, tell them, you know. If somebody comes up and asks you, you know, about something, share that, you know. Share that knowledge with them, you know. Same thing with you guys. If you have something that, you know, a question that you want to know about something, go talk to some of these people that you know, that know something, you know, so they can teach you something, you know. If you, whatever it is you want to learn, you know. I'll say like these guys, I don't know everything, you know, but tried to learn as much as I can when I was younger, you know, while there was people around. You know, I had all kinds of questions. And some of the things that I will say that some of the things that I asked about, some of the things that I was taught, I forgot some of them things, you know. But I've been fortunate enough to try to retain, you know, some of the knowledge, you know, that was taught to me. But even back then, some of the questions that I had, they had no answers for. You know, it was a time that was going on, you know, and everything. But I was thankful for a lot of those old folks, you know, that I learned from. You know, Lucy Pratt, you know, Laura Pratt. My grandpa, you know, there was Bay Heyman. I got to be around, you know, Bay Heyman when I was little. Philip Jim, Andy Pratt. Let's see who else was there. Wilson Moore. You know, my grandpa Delbert, Elizabeth. Let's see, Albert, Leadingfox. I got to hear a lot of stories from him. Let's see, there's a Theodore Creeping Bear, Bob Rice. I know I forget some of Frankie Davis, Horace Taylor. Gosh, there's so many. Can't think of them all, but you know, that was part of thankful that I grew up with my grandparents because they knew all those people. And back then, you know, everybody used to go visit people, right? You know, go visit. When I was real little, I used to think, oh gosh, this one's back home. You know, houses were always hot, you know, and there was always talking about stuff that I didn't know, you know, that interested me at the time. I'd just be sitting on the couch, you know, whatever. But then as I got older, you know, they started telling stories and stuff that I really got interested in, you know. So, you know, so some of these teachings, you know, some of the things I heard, you know, and everything, I try to share, you know, and try to tell people, you know, what I know. But any questions? Now's the time. We'll finish up here this last set. You know. Anything about songs or?
Tell them about the headband, why compared to otter caps.
Oh, you know what? You know, honestly, I asked about. I don't know much about that headband. No one ever really, you know. When people I told about, they just said it was just to keep the sweat out of your eyes, you know. But we had those turbans. We used to wear those turbans, and then we'd wear them otter caps, you know, and stuff. So. I know that Osage's got a big story, you know, about that. But as far as Pawnees, no one ever told me nothing about it. I asked him. I said, "Why do we wear those, you know, handkerchiefs and scarves around?" And I said, "To keep the sweat out of your eyes." But you know, they said even a long time ago, the Pawnees we never even wore them. You know, like my audio, we never hardly wore them. So, if you got a story, I'll let you say it.
I know. That's why I always wondered too.
Yeah, so I you know, and maybe we did at one time, you know, but as far as I was told is that it was just to keep the sweat out of your eyes, you know, and yeah, but they said a lot of times, old timers didn't even wear them, you know, it just kind of, I guess, became a fad, you know, for a while there, and it just kind of stayed around, but you know, we had those my audio over here, my audio Matt, he wears a turban, you know. And then so they used to be those sashes, you know, like the belt sashes, you know, and stuff, and put them around on the heads and stuff, and or an otter cap or whatever, you know. But Audie, do you wear a scarf all the time, or no? You got any teachings about the scarf? Yeah. So yeah, well, that's, you know, one of my, I asked one of my grandpas about it. So why do we wear these scarves for? To keep the sweat out. So that's all I heard, you know. So me, I never sweat because I was too smooth or too in shape. So one of the questions was about these bells, you know, why they wear bells, you know. So like I had said earlier, a long time ago, we didn't have these bells. These were kind of, they came in. My grandpa, you know, I used to have some too. My grandpa had these big long strips of bells, big old long strip, and had brass bells all through there. But that's what the horses, they used to put them on the horses. they'd hang them around their necks, or they'd sometimes, I guess, they'd have them around on their bridles or something, you know, but it made a noise. A long time ago, you know, I was told that, you know, before bells came around, we used deer toes. Deer toes was the old way, you know, they'd make them that they would dance with and make the sounds. But as the white people moved in, you know, they started having those bells, you know, on the sleigh bells, and they started having them and stuff. And then so they started using them. Then they take those big old long sleigh bells like my grandpa used to have and wrap them around about 2 or 3 times around your legs and that stuff. And then I remember having to really tie those on real tight. You know, nowadays we just kind of got them on like belts or whatever, you know, put them around there. But they just replaced the deer toes. I kind of see the deer toes making a comeback though. I start seeing some more. I've got some I'm working on at the house as well, you know, and stuff. But they're making a comeback. But a lot of our dances, you know, our old ceremonies and stuff, that's what they used to use was deer toes, you know. But when, like I said, when the white people came through with the sleigh bells, and that's what they started using. So those, I know some dancers, they have those real old school brass bells, you know, get that real particular sound, you know, but they're heavy, guys, so they're heavy. So that's one of the things they use too. So. The princess, Miss Leadingfox, call you up here, draw a number. Dang, I didn't even get tickets. Been talking too dang much. That's all right. All right, I'm going to say it one time, then we'll draw another. Here we go. Guys, paying attention out there. Wake up now. Here's the winning number. 1, 8, 2, 3, 5, 7. All right, we'll draw another number. Better make sure that she knew it. She already knew what she was getting. See. Waves, boy. This guy's got waves. He told Skeety he's going to give her half of it. Get that salad. Get that salad and get that steak. I want to thank you all for taking chances on there. It's $50 to put on the drum, so I appreciate that. You know. So thank you for doing that. My brother come by here earlier. I'm making an announcement, you know, while we're here tonight. Right out here, they're having this glow run, the 8th annual Six Nations Walking Together Against Domestic Violence. It's going to take place here. It's kind of a big thing. So they got this organization that came out here to get things set up for this walk. So it starts tonight at 7 to 9 p.m. And they're going to have T-shirts, games, prizes, and popcorn. And there's going to be all kinds of other tribes that's going to be coming here to Pawnee for this event. I was looking on here. There's the Delaware tribe, the Iowas, the Kaws, Osages, Otos, Tonkas, and Tonkawas, and they're going to all be coming around here today. So we're going to have to bring out some of them old war dance songs about the tribe. Safe for them when they come back here. But so that's going on here this evening. If you guys ain't got nothing to do, it's a very important thing that they're doing about domestic violence, you know. So if you're not doing anything, come out here, get you a free T-shirt, popcorn, or whatever. It's a walk. I asked how far it is, and I think they said it's around the Circle D. So they're gonna. I guess they're gonna throw a bunch of colored paint on you. Have some black lights, right? I guess that's how that works. So Y'all be painting up. Looking like kids of hoods out there, making a lot of noise. So it's good to see all these people that came out today, you know. Different tribal leaders that was here, you know, been here. Got my audio over here, Dennis. You know, acknowledge him, fighter. Saw him eat 2 Indian tacos, and I said, man, boy, he means it. He's gonna get that belt now, boy.
For that heavyweight title.
Heavyweight title, he said.
Thanks, buddy.
So thankful for everybody that come out here, and I hope, you know, if there's some more questions, you know, be sure and ask questions, you know, and stuff. So I think we're going to go into this final set here. You know, like I said, it wasn't going to be nothing, you know, serious or anything, but we're just trying to be serious about trying to encourage people to dance, you know, and stuff. So even sing, you know, whatever they have questions about, you know, and you know, one of the things, you know, I want to say is that, you know, this unfortunately, this stuff's not cheap, you know, to get dressed, you know, but there's sometimes there's things that materials sometimes are always being developed that are that become cheaper, you know, and you know, like these buckskin leggings, you know, just for one hide to make one leggings usually around, you know, 80 to, you know, a little over $100, you know. But now they got this new stuff coming out called suede, you know, and sometimes people use those, you know, and that's it's cheaper, you know, $25, $30, $40 a yard. But sometimes the white people, boy, you know how they are, you know, greedy. You know, I've seen some of that suede go up into the 80s now, you know. So same thing with this broadcloth, you know, the real McCoy broadcloth is pretty expensive, you know, 60, 75, even up to $90 a yard, you know. It takes several yards, you know, to make leggings and maybe a vest or whatever. Also, too, I see some people use canvas for leggings, you know. So there's always a way, you know, there's always a means, you know. So don't be discouraged, you know. And maybe you get you something, you know, on the cheaper side, and as you progress, you know, you could get into something newer, you know. So you know, moccasins too, you know, they don't have to be fully beaded, you know. They don't even have to have any beads on them at all, actually, you know. Sometimes you could go places and look out and see them, you know, pretty cheap, you know. The best thing I always say, you know, is try to learn how to make your own stuff. It's cheaper. It's cheaper that way, you know. I myself have been scammed a few times. I paid somebody one time to make me a straight dance outfit. Gave them 6 yards of broadcloth and make leggings, a vest, even a cape, you know, like they used to have a long time ago. And then gave them all the beads, cut beads. Gave them leather, and I gave them otter hide, you know, they was going to fix it all up. I got to see one legging, and I never saw him again. So, man passed away, you know, years later and stuff, and all that stuff was supposedly lost. So I just gave up, and I said, I'm just going to learn how to do stuff by myself and everything. So I've been doing that. But I've been 3 years kind of fixing my outfit. So, but yeah, you know, if you take the time to learn how to make these things, it's a lot cheaper, you know. So we have a lot of people here in our tribe that are real crafty people, arts and crafts, you know, that can probably teach you or give you some pointers, you know, how to do that stuff, you know. So yeah, so I guess if that's it, we'll go into this last little set here and call it a day. All right. Thank you, singers and dancers. That concludes the singing and dancing part here of this little event here that is having here today. Mr. Gover and Mr. Littleson, I hope you got to see something here today. Hopefully it helped you out, and if there's any questions, please go to anybody that, you feel comfortable with talking to. Like I said, we've got AJ here and Uncle Pat here, and it's good that you're wanting to learn about this way that we have here amongst our people, and it's who you are as well. So don't ever be afraid, especially don't ever be afraid to be amongst your own people, And our ancestors never were afraid, and we should never be afraid to be amongst our own people and trying to learn and dance. You should feel comfortable, feel at ease, here, And I know that, like we were saying earlier, at times, people might feel nervous, and stuff, and everything. That's with anything, but you're learning, it'll get easier, as time goes on, So thank you, for guys being here and helping to kind of make it to what this is here today, for other people here that have an interest and want to learn and stuff like that, So I'm thankful for everybody that had a part here that was asked to be here to help, I'm thankful to my daughter here, Francis, here, to ask me to sit here, try to help out, and so it's good to see the little turnout that we have here today, and thankful for all the cooks, the food that they provided, the meal, things that was brought here today. Like I said, we have dances coming up. Veterans Day dance is coming. We have this young dog dance. It's something totally different, but it's another part of our who we are as Pawnee people. It's coming up here in a few weeks. Christmas dance. Then we're going to have hand games, that's going to be sprinkled in here throughout the year and stuff. And those are always a lot of fun. So, thank you.
Is there?
Okay, so I was wondering, we're going to have a Halloween hand game, coming up here, the veterans, so kids and hoodies might show up, But thankful for all the people that dressed out, really liking it for this girl's OSU dress over there. Keen, like it. So, Isabel, I was gonna have a special song for her earlier. I forgot about it. Isabel, dancing a fancy shawl, it's a little more modern, and, I was thinking earlier, Pawnees, fancy dance used to be kind of a men thing, but women had fancy dancers too, and I'm talking about like the regular fancy dance. That's how you see the men do, women used to dress like that and get out there and dance. And here in our tribe, we had some women dancers that were really, really good. And when I was fancy dancing around, and stuff, when I was younger, I used to hear these old people talk, and they'd ask me what tribe I was. And then sometimes they would talk about them women, that were fancy dancers. And the people around here in Oklahoma used to talk about how the northern women couldn't hang with our southern women fancy dance, so they come up with the northern shawl, so they can kind of be amongst themselves, But I always keep thinking one of these days maybe these women might bring back at women's fancy dance and stuff, But glad that you come out and dressed, come out here and be with us and dancing. It's another style that's out there, especially in the powwow world, And so we have some things here that Francis wants to take care of. Make some acknowledgments here before we finish this up here.
I'd just like to thank each and every one of you guys for coming out today. Especially thank the sponsors, the other people that helped out. Jennifer David Littleson and Walter Eckerhoff, Carol Chapman Young family, Janet Matthews, my aunt, and my mother, Phyllis. I couldn't say enough today how these guys did. These guys are awesome. And you guys, everybody here, you guys all got a good blessing out of them. I learned a lot myself. Adrian did a good job talking, speaking. He was talking constantly, you know. Letting you know what's going on. And that's good, you know, that's good. And AJ, thank you, Pat. You know, I just want to acknowledge you guys and call him Pat. AJ. You know, it's been talked that we might try to do this twice a year, so looking forward to it. You call Matt Reed or Chiefs. And the princess, Spottedhorsechief. Once again, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for showing up today and showing some support. Thank you both.
All right, thank you for those acknowledgements there. As we get ready to conclude this here, so you know, a lot of the things that hopefully you guys kind of remember some of the little bit of protocol. You know, always try to be on time. You know, if you can, try your best to bring your own dishes and plates. You know. If you got little kids and stuff, you know, kind of watch them, you know, trying to running in around here. And, you know, if they're screaming and crying, you know, kind of take them outside for a little bit, to calm down. You know, women always bring your shawls and wear your shawls in the arena, you know. And singers, you know, kind of dress appropriately, you know, come to the drum. And I don't know if there's anything else that I kind of forgot. It's usually kind of basic stuff, you know. And try to stay for the whole thing if you can. You know, if you come to eat, you know, you're supposed to stay for the whole thing, or at least majority of it. You know, try to might want to hear something or might witness something. My grandparents used to say, you miss something if you don't. So anyway, you know, with that, you know, we're going to what is customary here too is that, you know, we're going to have a prayer song. You know, and what usually goes along with that, everybody can try to stand, you know, if they can, and while the singers close it out, you know. And, usually what happens is when they sing that prayer song, that's it, you know. But sometimes I've gone to some dances, you know, they'll have a prayer song, then they'll have a prayer, you know. But that song is supposed to be take care of all of that, you know. And I'm not sure if it's one of the songs that we sing now, or if it's an old song that we don't use no more. But this goes for the women. But there used to be a prayer song that when they would sing, that the last time they'd sing it, the women used to hold their hands up. You know, like I've always said before, you know, the women are the holiest of the people that we have amongst our tribe. The very first ones that were created. You know? And then so when I was little, I used to remember seeing that, you know, and it kind of, I don't know, I guess it just kind of got away, or no one really does that anymore. Now, like I said, I don't know if there was a song that was pertained to that or not. I need to ask and try to find out, but yeah, they used to have a song, you know, the women, you know, like on the last time through, they'd all put their hands up, you know, thanking the heavens, you know, thanking our ancestors and a Diastita wall hut, you know. But just wanted to throw that out there and let you guys know that, you know, maybe that's something we can try to bring back to as well. And so at this time, you know, we're going to go ahead and conclude this. Thank you once again for everybody being here, to come here and check out, see what's going on. Like I said, it's just a teaching thing. We're trying to teach, you know, and thankful for all the cooks and everybody that was asked. So we're going to close this out and go our own separate ways here, and with this prayer song, and that will be it. All right. Check that out. Be sure to visit my Aunt Deb out here too. Got this corn over here. Looks like it's all braided up. So that's good. So thank you all. Thank you all for being here today. So you guys, till we see you here next time. Everybody be safe.